I'm reading Vlad Savov's piece on The Verge about how the iPhone camera used to be a selling point, but is now a settling point. I like Vlad's writing a lot, mostly because his point of view is often so different than my own. It forces me to think, to challenge my own preconceptions, and, regardless of whether or not I end up agreeing or disagreeing, to learn through the process. I'm Rene Ritchie, and this is Vector. Here, now, Vlad writes that the iPhone camera has fallen behind, and it's now something users tend to accept rather than anticipate. It's 2009, and Phil Schiller is announcing video recording, coming for the first time to the iPhone 3GS. It's 2010, and Steve Jobs is showing off the iPhone 4, giving Apple their first modern camera keynote, and us, arguably, our first really modern Apple camera. Here, now, Vlad writes that in the past couple of years, every phone company has worked overtime to secure a lead in this all-important area. Well, every company except for Apple and Samsung, it seems. And if you're in a limited market, like the US, where they're the only options you see, you could start to believe that mobile cameras have stagnated. It's September 2016. I'm sitting in the Bill Graham Civic Center as Apple's Senior Vice President of Worldwide Marketing, Phil Schiller, announces the iPhone 7 Plus, its dual camera system, 2x optical zoom, and portrait mode. It's a week or so later, I'm walking across the Brooklyn Bridge well after midnight with Serenity Caldwell and Michael Fisher, Mr. Mobile, testing the low-light capabilities of the 7 Plus, experiencing something on a phone I'd only ever experienced previously on a DSLR, seeing more light in a photo than I did with my naked eye. Here, now, Vlad asks, where is the iPhone? It's September 2017. I'm sitting in the Steve Jobs Theater. Phil Schiller is back on stage. He's introducing the True Depth camera system on the iPhone X. It doesn't just do Face ID. It also does portrait selfies, portrait lighting, and in the Clips app, portrait green screen. More augmented reality, sure, and emoji and Snapchat get all the stage time, but it's boiling the water for facial tracking and the emotive AR avatars of the future. It's November 2017. I'm back in New York City for the iPhone X launch, at the Apple Store on Fifth Avenue, talking to the people in line. One of the people, a doctor, I think it's a blur, says he buys the new iPhone every year just for the camera. It's his main camera and he uses it to take photos of his kids. He can never go back in time and take better photos, so he always wants the photo he's taking now to be as good as they possibly can. Here, now, Vlad writes Google came out with the Pixel camera in 2016 and raised the bar of expectation for mobile photography a couple of notches above the iPhone. It's December 2017. My Pixel 2 XL arrives. I ordered it after watching Mario Queiroz show it off on the Made by Google stream. I take it out, eager to see how Google is doing portrait mode with a single camera, a segmentation mask, and some of the best algorithms in the business. I search for it, but I can't find it. Finally, I do, buried under the menu system. I turn it on. I see nothing. I think I must be doing something wrong. I toggle it again, and again I take a photo. No depth. I think it's broken, or that I'm just an idiot. I take another photo. No depth. I start cursing, literally cursing, and then, after a few long seconds, the depth appears. It wasn't real time, like Apple had been doing for over a year. It was an after effect. Why didn't I know that? I check all the Pixel 2 reviews I can find. Only a couple of them even mention it, and then only in passing. Still, the algorithm is outstanding. It can misfire, but so can Apple's. Either way, it's evident we're fully into the age of computational photography. Here, now, it echoes, where is the iPhone? It's September 2018. Phil Schiller is once again pacing the stage, introducing the iPhone XS camera, with its image signal processor bound to its neural engine, delivering smart HDR, but also portrait mode bokeh with a virtual lens system, giving it the character of a real-world lens, and the iPhone XR with an entirely different, modeled virtual lens system for its pixel-like portrait mode. What's more, a video camera that's not only 4K and 60 frames per second, but when shooting 30 frames or under, interleaves enhanced dynamic range data in between the frames, and with stereo sound. It's October 2018, and I'm trying to order a Pixel 3. It's just been shown off by Liza Ma, and I've ordered almost every Google phone since the Nexus 1, which was one of my all-time favorite phones. But I can't get the order to go through, because Canada, or Google, or whatever. I have a lot of other stuff to do, so I figure I'll just get back to it later. But I really, and I mean really, want to try out the night sight feature, which uses very clever hardware and software synchronization to suck in so much light it can turn midnight into, if not midday, then at least mid-afternoon. It's immediately praised as the wonder camera, the best ever, shaming all others, at least at launch. Here, now, Vlad writes the iPhone, even while maintaining an edge in video quality and improving its stills photography in small ways every year, has been surpassed by faster-moving competitors. It's January 2019. I'm in Las Vegas for CES. I have an iPhone XS with me. I'm shooting everything with it, still and video. Two of my colleagues and friends who work for Android Central are with me. They have Pixel 3s with them. They love the photos it produces, but they complain that it often takes some long, random, variable amount of time to launch, and they're missing shots. It's so bad, Andrew Martinick writes about how fed up he is. Droid Life says it's pissing them off. Artem from Android Police, MKBHD.
The performance issues, including even in the camera app itself, have stuck with the Pixel from last year.
Maybe it's Android on 4 gigabytes of memory. Maybe it's failing to clear enough of that memory to launch. Maybe there's more to great software than just great algorithms. Theories abound. I'm 12% less upset my Pixel 3 order never went through. An argument could be made for 15. Here, now, Vlad writes it wasn't that long ago that we looked to Apple to be the leader in popularizing, if not necessarily inventing, new creative technologies. There, then, I settle in and watch High Flying Bird. It's by Steven Soderbergh and it's shot entirely on iPhone, his second film to do that. It's February 2019. Samsung is unpacking the Galaxy S10. The camera improvements seem solid, especially the LG-style ultra-wide third lens and the video camera improvements. The color science has matured, become less garish and more real, but strangely, it doesn't get as much attention as I expected. Not the video stuff, of course. Most of the tech media has been ignoring that on the iPhone for years, so ignoring it on Samsung is just par for the stills course. And not even because of the Pixel 3, which the notorious DxO mark has dropped conspicuously lower than the simple release order most of their other rankings fall under, quality or consulting notwithstanding. But maybe because of Huawei, which has stepped boldly out of the Me Too shadow to push the boundaries of photography hard, massive AI modes and multiple lenses hard. Here, now, Vlad, Huawei didn't settle for merely raising the bar for low-light photography. The P30 has a time-of-flight sensor, a periscope assembly, and other hardware that, as is increasingly usual, seems to be part bleeding edge and part pure sci-fi. I want to talk about it, so I bring a friend and colleague who covered it onto the show, Daniel Bader, managing editor of Android Central. And he confirms what everyone's saying about how aggressive and impressive the hardware is, but also confirms the other thing everyone is saying.
The software is still bad. And I think I finally figured out a short way of saying why. It's a mishmash of ideas from elsewhere.
And it takes two hands to do what Apple enables far more simply with just one. It's not quite an LG or HTC story. They both had been doing interesting things in cameras for years with ultra-wide angles and ultra-low apertures, but with that one part never quite overcoming the lackluster sum of their holes. But it's not completely unlike that either. Here, now, Vlad, Apple's innovative edge has been blunted. It's a couple of days later in March and I'm sitting in on a social strategy seminar when a slide comes up that says you should always post to Instagram from an iPhone. I mentioned the story to a friend of mine who works in marketing for a non-Apple company. He confirms, the dirty little industry secret is that almost all of them also carry and use an iPhone. I ask if that's why we see so many slip-ups on social media, where Android brands and endorsers post from an iPhone by mistake. He laughs, but all I can picture is the smiling, crying emoji. I noticed YouTuber Tyler Stallman's comments on one of my videos. He's a pro photographer and videographer, and he says 90% of the other pros he encounters are still primarily on iPhone as well. It's not inertia, it's trust. It wasn't about the number of cameras or the cleverness of the algorithm, though nobody was dismissing either of those things. It was simply because from pocket to shot to share, the iPhone for them was still the camera to beat. Especially when combined with a company that you could trust to push out updates for years and years and not just abandon one phone as soon as the next came out. And one that designed everything from the silicon on up, including the custom storage controller, to make sure every part of the pipeline, every burst, every frame was saved every time. It's not the kind of innovation that gets noticed on stage or in the press, but it's part of the same chain of trust, of reliability that keeps so many people coming back so often. Here, now, Vlad, the iPhone, for most of its existence, has been the standard-setting phone for mobile photography. Yes, the Nokia Lumia 1020 and 808 PureView happened, but they never put the pieces of usability and quality together quite like Apple's phone did. The last decade and change flashes in front of me. Matthew Miller is calling the 808 the best camera ever on a phone. Daniel Rubino is extolling the virtues of the giant facehugger-like sensor on the 1020. Optically better than anything Apple or Android offered at the time, and with the Z-index to prove it, but they never found much appeal among the mainstream, even the mainstream for whom phones were increasingly cameras first. Here, now, Vlad echoes again. Nokia never put the pieces of usability and quality together quite like Apple's phone did. Michael Gartenberg replies that Lumia camera was ahead of its time, far better than Apple, but Apple better in everything else, including apps and cachet of Apple brand. Today is different. Daniel Bader, replying to Gartenberg and yours truly, that he didn't care about video on phones until he had his daughter, who is stupendous. Yeah, I added that part, because it's true. But now he cares very much, and that was partially why he put down the Pixel 3. It kept dropping frames whenever he would record video, and now picks up an S10 or a P30 instead.
Some Pixel owners are saying that the 3 and XL sometimes forget to save photos.
Huawei is still way behind in terms of software. It's where Samsung was in 2015, 2016 in terms of design. It really does not have any ecosystem to speak of. It's just not a great software experience at all.
They bring terrific, even mind-blowing features or specs, but they're still bringing them to an experience fight. Here, now, Vlad, this could always be the quiet before the storm of groundbreaking designs and innovations from Apple. It's 2017 and Google is announcing portrait mode a year after Apple, but it's not real time. It's 2018, Google is announcing again, it's still not real time, but nobody cares because they have night sight and Apple doesn't. Precisely 0 new iPhones have come out since then, but Apple is still being accused of failing to counter it, failing to keep up. It's September 2019 and I'm waiting for the keynote to start, and I'm still wondering if all the low-light expectational debt built up by all the nerds is finally going to be satisfied, when nerds have seldom, if ever, been Apple's target. Because Google and Huawei are certainly doing it, but they're certainly not doing in, wait for it, say it with me, real time either. They're doing it in post, like an After Effect, like a filter. And real time seems to be everything to Apple. They're treating the iPhone camera as close to a real camera as possible, and they simply don't seem to want to do anything in post-process at all. Portrait mode is live. Portrait lighting is live. Portrait green screen, my name, not theirs, is live. Depth effect is live. Night sight isn't. So will Apple lose the live religion and push out an After Effects filter that does similar or the same? The event starts, the lights dim, the music fades away. Low light is clearly the current battleground. Some people try to poo-poo that and say it's not important and Apple doesn't need to address it, but not me, because it's absolutely important. It was that way for DSLRs and it's that way for phones. So Apple simply has to find some way to address it, even if it's a very different, very silicon way to do it. Apple has been stuck to their everyday photography philosophy for about as long as they've been serious about photography, leaving manual modes, raw processing, depthy API and the like to third-party pro app developers, and keeping the built-in camera experience strictly tuned to capturing the best image possible in as wide a range of situations as possible, for as many people as possible, as fast and as easily as possible, without too many obstacles getting in the way.
Good morning! Thank you.
Okay, wait, hold, pause. I'm not wearing any glasses. I know you know that. I can feel your looks. I'm wearing contacts. Yeah, contacts. And if you wear contact lenses and find yourself dreading that annual appointment to renew your prescription, then you're going to simply love Simple Contacts. It's a great new company that makes the annoying process very, you guessed it, simple. Renew your expired contact lens prescription and reorder your brand of lenses from your phone or computer in minutes. You can take the Simple Contacts vision test online in 5 minutes. A real doctor reviews it, and if your vision hasn't changed, renews your prescription. And if you already have an unexpired prescription, just upload a photo of it or your doctor's info and order your lenses in minutes for a great price. Best of all, you get $20 off your first Simple Contacts order just by going to simplecontacts.com/vector and entering Vector at checkout. This isn't a replacement for your periodic full eye health exam. You still need that, but it's the most convenient way to renew a prescription and reorder your contacts if your vision hasn't changed. Again, get $20 off your first Simple Contacts order just by going to simplecontacts.com/vector and entering Vector at checkout. Thanks, Simple Contacts, and thanks to all of you for supporting the show. It's still September. Tim has just announced the next iPhone, and Phil is about to take the stage to tell us all about it. Will it be the rumored 3-camera system and time-of-flight sensor? Will it be the rear-mounted true-depth AR camera I've heard whispered about for years? Will it be the next giant computational leap forward with full environmental ingestion for real-time lens and angle changing and virtual reconstruction? Here, now, Vlad asks, where is the iPhone? I like Vlad's writing a lot. So many people, probably more than you might guess, simply churn out the latest Android review while still using an iPhone as their daily driver. Vlad isn't like that either. I don't enjoy the benefit of knowing him almost at all, but his appreciation and expertise in Android is evident. He seems to really live and breathe it sincerely, excitedly as well, but not blindly, which is absolutely the best way to do it. It's why I value his point of view even and especially when it's often very different from my own. It's 2015 and Vlad's writing that speed kills and the iPhone goes from 0 to a good picture faster than anything else. It's 2019 and I'm seeing rants from multiple dedicated Android experts that the Pixel 3 camera is insufferably slow to launch. I'm also watching as they talk about Huawei's camera app being cumbersome to use. And I'm shooting all the B-roll and taking all the thumbnails from my channel and posting all the social at the speed of tap all the time from my iPhone. It's 2020. We have the Pixel 4 Ultra, Galaxy S11, the P40 Pro, that portless, buttonless killer camera phone from that vendor that nobody expected, but still not read, and Phil Schiller flips to the iPhone 12 camera slide, and it's here, now, this very place, this very second, and I'm apologizing to Alan Moore for so mangling his writing style, and nevertheless asking you to hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't already, because it really helps out the channel. And then I'm thanking Vlad for making me think so much about cameras, and asking you to tell me what you think in the comments below. And then thanking you so much for watching.